Today we dive deep into the world of Consumer Electronics Show, which is CES, which happens in Vegas every single year. So to discuss more about CES, we have our own CEO, Mr. Ravi. So Ravi, what were the key talking points for CES this year?
Hi Aditya. First of all, it's just so exciting to start the year with CES. The amazing thing about CES is it brings together so many people from so many different walks of life, business, industry, and so on. Let me tell you a story. I was on the plane to CES from Boston. About 90% of the people were actually going to CES on that flight. And the guy sitting next to me was an 80-year-old person who said he's been going to CES for about 25 years. And then I asked him, is it for work? He said, no, this is on my own time and dime. This is the coolest thing I do every year. And I was so disappointed I couldn't do it the year of COVID. So he had the CES magazine in his hand, and his interests were all over, from kind of the latest gadgets to electronics to entertainment and so on. So it's just amazing to just see part of it. It was great to see the energy and excitement back. We had over 4,000 plus exhibitors, about 150,000 plus people. So to really see the energy, the crowds back was just amazing.
Nice. So, Ravi, just curious because this is the fourth CES which I have attended, and curious to know how many CES have you attended, because you've been in the US for quite a long time. And second is, why does CES happen in Vegas? I mean, like, that's a party capital of the world. So
that's
just curious
exactly
about
why
this.
it happens in Vegas, because it is the party capital of the world. It's got the best connectivity, easy to get to, and there are so many things to do. The infrastructure is awesome, and it's just one of those things that very few people say, I don't want to go to Vegas, so that's why everybody gets there. Well, as far as I am concerned, I think it is my 9th or 10th. I'll have to go back and check, but that's been spread over a 15, 20-year period, and there was a few years when I didn't make it. In fact, I think I made it to the 2021. It was one of my last trips before the whole world kind of shut down for COVID. And after that, I think it was, in fact, a very last large trip which I did. And then, of course, everything kind of shut down. So I always look forward to it. It always amazes me in some way, shape, or form as to things that I didn't think I would see it.
So, Ravi, when we were walking across the convention center, and I saw a lot of hoarding saying 100 years, so just wanted to understand what was it all about. I did not get the time to...
Yeah, this actually was a kind of a monumental year. So this was the 100th year of CTA, which is the Consumer Technology Association. So Consumer Technology Association is literally 100 years old, and they have been advocates for really bringing standards, bringing advocacy, bringing laws governing things like taxes to how products should be governed, the regulatory standards, and really kind of driving this force. And they were the people actually who set up the Consumer Electronics Show to begin with. And it's been a great journey for the CTA as well as the CES, which is the actual show. So that is really the governing body for consumer technology in the US and increasingly worldwide.
Okay. So Ravi, like you said, there were more than 4,000 plus exhibitors. So what were the key themes which you observed this year?
So in my opinion, there were like three very, very, very big themes this year. The first one is AI, and AI in everything. And we've seen AI before, but this is where AI is kind of becoming pervasive. For example, saw an e-bike which has got a little display with ChatGPT kind of built in. At the onset, it kind of seems like a bit of a gimmick. Why do you want ChatGPT on your e-bike? But it goes beyond kind of the things that you would get with Google Maps. This is conversational. So you're kind of on your e-bike and say, hey, I want to get a burger, or hey, where do I go park? Or, what is the traffic like in something? So it kind of brings the conversational element of it. So a lot of companies are kind of doing it. We saw Volkswagen actually have ChatGPT as a standard feature in a production model. We saw some collaborations with BMW and Amazon in bringing the whole Bedrock technology into cars beyond Alexa. So you have an even better Alexa, a smarter Alexa, if you can imagine.
So yeah, actually, there were a couple of booths which I went in and I saw AI. There was a Samsung fridge which could actually tell that a food was going bad, which is kept inside the fridge, and it was suggesting recipes which could be made out of that food which is there. Similarly, I saw a mattress company which uses AI. So depending on the body condition, the mattress adjusts itself to the body type. So pretty much AI was there everywhere, and looks like very soon it's going to be in every single product across the spectrum we use.
Very much so, right? The thing you mentioned about the bed, for example, I think sleep itself was very big. It is kind of almost the new parameter for health. The one which you're talking about, it goes back to some of the other technology. I mean, there were things like the sleep number bed, etc., which we'd seen in the past, but this is a whole nother level. Similarly, on the appliance side, right? So in addition to the fridge, there were things that were mainstream production models for washing machines, which were so much smarter. So it kind of takes almost the guesswork of doing a lot of these things. So it is almost making AI useful. I think that was the big theme. From a tech perspective, we also saw, for example, Microsoft, one of their announcements was a new keyboard. And you're wondering what's with the new keyboard? You've seen the whole Windows button in the past, right? So that was a few years ago. Microsoft keyboards came up with the Windows button, which was the 4 little squares. Guess what? The new Microsoft keyboard has a ChatGPT button now. Actually, it has a Copilot button. And Copilot is becoming such an integral part of Microsoft and its ecosystem. So again, kind of getting into the mainstream of a lot of things and making it real. I think that was a big one. Secondly, the second big theme was, we touched upon smart home, smart living, more and more of that. There were smart mixers. There were other things that got smarter and smarter around the house. We'd always seen things like cleaning robots and things like that. Now they've gone to a whole new level. Thirdly, I think the other big theme clearly was, of course, the fun part of it, which was also EVs, and then the integration of more advanced battery technology along with AI and so on. So we saw a lot of innovation. So those are the key 3 themes, which is, again, AI and kind of really the integration of that into smart living, smart homes. And finally, lots of EVs, lots of cars, including flying cars, which we saw, which were pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was curious that, I was actually surprised when I saw cars in booths of LG Electronics, Samsung, Sony. I mean, apart from the usual automobile companies. And that was pretty cool. All of these cars especially one from Sony was really, really amazing. Yeah. And they told me that they'll start taking orders from early next year.
Yeah.
And Sony having a car with the kind of content they have, I pretty much doubt whether people will go back home and watch their TVs.
Absolutely. I mean, there is that convergence happening. It remains to be seen. I mean, I think fundamentally they've driven technology that has been their core competency and applied it to a lot of these things, including automobiles. We saw Huawei had a car as well. In fact, it's supposedly live and it's a production model in China. So that's pretty cool. So we see more and more of that kind of integration where kind of people bring their entertainment, infotainment, and really consumer engagement into things such as vehicles. So we're beginning to see a lot more of that as well.
Okay. So Ravi, CES is a stage where major tech announcement happens. And so what were some major tech announcement which we saw this year?
Yeah. So one thing back to the theme was, in addition to explosive new announcements, which I'll talk about in a second, I think we saw a lot more of fruition of past announcements actually happening. What we saw is a prototype for a transparent TV. You had 2 companies, LG and Samsung, kind of battling it out, but who's got the better transparent TV, which was pretty cool. So what was kind of like a prototype early thing last year is real. So there are many, many instances of that.
I'm just curious on this bit, like sometimes these companies, like, I wonder whether customer would have ever asked that, give us a transparent TV, right? and I heard the cost, it was 200K. I was like, how many of people across the world can afford a
Yeah.
TV which is cost 200K?
Yeah, it's but you look at what OLED TVs cost about 5 years ago,
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
these costs come down very, very quickly once they get to scale. And that's the thing. I don't know if I wanted a transparent TV, but after I saw it, I wish I had one.
Oh, nice.
Right?
That's
So
true. That's
it's
true.
it's like something you can just put it on a window. I mean, people were saying maybe it can be your window, and imagine that you can look out when you don't want to watch TV, and otherwise you're watching TV. So that was big. Apple with its new VR headset, I think that was a major announcement because for a while everybody thought, after kind of Meta kind of quest for a quest, if you will, kind of really didn't go as far as Meta wanted with the metaverse. People were kind of going away from kind of these 3D augmented reality, virtual reality type headsets, but Apple introduced one. And if anybody can kind of do something different, I think that'll be Apple. There were a bunch of other announcements as well, like NVIDIA on the tech side made a lot of huge chip announcements. And one of the things with NVIDIA was not only they made announcements, they actually showcased products with so many different kinds of companies, be it gaming, be it computing, be it automobile, and so on. So those are some of the big announcements per se, brand new, that I really saw. There were a lot of other innovations, but as far as, what did people announce, really, I think people actually did more showing products than talking about products like in the past.
So we spoke about announcements, we spoke about the themes. I'm sure there were many things which were wow, unique, and which was out of this world. So if you could just share a couple of them.
Sure, I think for me the biggest wow thing was the flying car from this company called XPeng, which is a China-based company. It was mind-boggling. It kind of looked like a more sporty version of the Cybertruck from Tesla, more colorful. It had this kind of large pickup with an angular cover, and they didn't let me take a ride in it, unfortunately, just like they didn't let you either, and they didn't really show it flying, but they had videos of it. But what was cool was actually showed at work, which is, the car itself looked spectacular. And you had a retractable kind of, back panel, which went down, and then this whole drone-like thing that kind of came up about. So it's immense. It looked immense, it looked huge, but it was really well thought out. And XPeng is literally going to get that into production in less than 18 months. And I also learned a lot more about XPeng. Actually, they are one of the leading EV companies in China, and they are really, China's Tesla. So I think that was a wow thing. So I walked into the Kohler booth, which makes, bathroom fixtures, right? So they have the smart toilet. When you walk in the room, it knows whether it's you or your wife, and completely sets the right settings for everything in the bathroom, the shower to the toilet to etc. I thought that was pretty cool, and it really supposedly works, and it's something very close to being released as well. So very different set of things in terms of what was wow. And again, that's kind of the beauty about CES, where it brings so many different aspects that you wouldn't think would come together, but it does.
So Ravi, what were the breakthrough technologies which we saw in smart wearables, especially smartwatches and audio devices?
One of the cool breakthroughs I saw was finally I saw something like a real product with translation earphones. So it is something where you just put it on and
So you're
it
saying
translates.
I can speak in Hindi and you'll get a translation in English. That's what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Wow.
Like I was thinking you can speak in your Mangalore Kannada, and I can even understand that in
That's
in
nice.
English or regular Kannada, maybe. But that's getting real. I think that real-time processing intelligence AI integrated into a form factor, that was pretty cool, I thought. It still had a few kind of quirks, but that was very interesting. The other nice thing with CES is, we have so many vendors, partners, people from other kind of industries who come there as well. And as we are evolving from just becoming a pure play device company with wearables to really evolving our ecosystem to bring propositions and other things, it was great to see some of these people kind of bringing their technology as well. So as far as digital health was concerned, there were 3 or 4 things that was very interesting. One of them is more and more Wi-Fi based kind of technologies for things like security, monitoring of people, like when they're walking, when they're falling, and things like that, because Wi-Fi can kind of look through walls. So that was cool. A couple of companies also had radar-based technologies that could be integrated into everyday things that can also look at movement of your chest, to look at respiration, movement of your heart, and so on. That was very interesting as well. I saw one company, actually more than one company, which had non-invasive glucose, which is getting closer and closer to reality. I think that is something that is also a technology that will be a key part of our future as we look at that. It's going to be a key parameter for us. So that was interesting to see. And finally, I saw more than one company that was looking at things for asthma and breathing and kind of respiration, which I think for India, especially with our levels of pollution and concerns about it, air quality, etc., it's not just about people with asthma, but really monitoring the air around you, how are you breathing, the pollution level. So there's quite a few technologies integrated into devices that I saw, which I think could be very, very interesting for us in the coming months and years.
So Ravi, finally, what does this mean for Titan?
I think all of these technologies are kind of the convergence of personal health, digital health, wellness, consumer-centric design, AI, really brings home everything that we are thinking about doing in the whole world of smart and wearables for Titan. These are all extremely important facets of what need to be put together with a very consumer-centric approach, right? So one of the things at Titan we do is really deeply try to understand what consumers want. We're still on the journey. But these things are great enablers for us to kind of make it part of our arsenal, part of our product set, solution set, to bring the best consumer experience for the future. So I think a lot of these technologies are going to be a key part of our future, some sooner than others, and I think that's where it all kind of comes home for Titan. In addition to that, we also had some of our key technology partners who brought their technology to CES as well. As an example, there is Core, which is from Green Tech, the company that we're working with, to bring to market the core body temperature sensing that will be a key part of our smartwatches at some point very, very soon. Similarly, Philips brought some of its technology that we're also incorporating now in terms of algorithms, etc. It was a great opportunity to kind of bring them along with some other partners that we are working on the OEM front as well. So I think it was a great kind of really meeting of the key people of our ecosystem that are very important to us.
So CS is a platform for technologies which are present across the globe. So specifically, if I have to ask from an India perspective, because we have so many real life problems and the kind of population and the problems we have in India is very unique to us. So did you see anything which might come to India, which might be niche at this point of time, but which is applicable to the Indian audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you typically see a lot of early innovation technology at CES, which probably will even come to the mainstream in the rest of the world a year or two from now, right? But that said, I think we also saw a number of technology and implementations of the technology that are immediately applicable to India. I think that speaks more towards the maturation of some of these technologies over the last few years that were showcased, but also the fact that India has made some leapfrogs in terms of digital adoption, right? So several of that, in terms of connectivity, we saw a lot more of 4G devices that were becoming very cost effective in all kinds of things. So really the connectivity angle, I see that getting to India very quickly. Digital health, we saw several things that those are things that can be adopted to India right away. And we had the opportunity to meet a lot of our vendor partners as well, who are bringing their technologies, which we are integrating as we speak. These are in the areas of sensors, algorithms, AI. so on and so forth, even design. So one of the things that we had was we had our head of design for Smart also come there with a very unique perspective of looking at things. It's not just pure technology for technology's sake, but how does it really apply to the usage of something from a user perspective, right? Be it the physical design of the objects to the UX interface, and really how can that become more customer centric. So a lot of applicable things. So it's not just kind of a science fiction movie anymore. I think it's a lot more kind of grounded, real, very applicable and germane to India.
So Ravi, we saw a lot of companies exhibiting their technological things, so innovation, what's happening in the world. So when do you think Titan can have its own massive booth in CES?
Yeah. Hey, why not next year? That said, I think clearly that's one of our dream and vision, and I don't think it's really that going to be that far. Frankly, if you look at things that we are doing today, I mean, you saw that the industry we are in, this is the place to be. The things that we are doing, beginning with Titan Life, for example, where we've got a world-class quality management system kind of set up, and we'll be ready to have products that can be CE marked and world standard, etc. So the day is not far when Titan will not just be going to CES to look at things, but actually to showcase things. So we are not far from that. And that's truly a future that we are driving towards. So I'm hoping it won't be too far. I'm hoping we can do that together soon, Aditya.
100% Ravi, excited and hopeful that very soon Titan will be part of CES. And thank you for being part of the Chatterbox where you've shared your insights about CES.
Wonderful. Likewise, great talking to you on the Titan podcast today and share my perspectives, our perspectives, fresh off from CES. Thank you.